it's big announcement day.
Well, it's supposed to be 2 big announcement day.
It's going to be 1 big announcement day.
It's going to be 1 big announcement, but the trade is Tuesday is 2 big announcement day.
Yeah, Tuesday is 2 big announcement. This is 1 big announcement day. And I'm excited about 1 big announcement day because
I can count.
Oh yeah, but that's not all. Like, there's more announcements to come even after that. I know.
I would also just like to say that, Adam, you let everybody down.
Why?
You said...
I'd also like to say that, but what's your reason?
You teased for weeks and weeks that today's the big announcement day.
It is.
This podcast is going to go up at 12:01.
So tomorrow's the big announcement.
You piece of trash.
I'm terrible. Okay, well, listen.
You let everybody down.
I
You did not deliver on Thursday.
You're right. I've let everybody down. So before I do it again, let's get to this, okay? So here's the thing. First thing. I put it up in our Discord community. What do you think this is? And I said, I'll give you one of my Adam Wild mugs with my big stupid face on it if you guess it correctly. So let's go through some of these, okay? Okay. Number 1, if it's a big announcement, it's got to be Panago coming back, which it's not. It would be nice. We'd love to have back, but it's not. That very much. Small announcement. You guys are doing a live show. Well, maybe we have something about that later on. Is the Dangle Navy team starting a GTHL team called the SDPN Sailors? Like, are you guys...
No.
I kind of thought we should sponsor a GTHL team. Why don't we do that?
Okay, Tavares and Sam Gagne have, like, you think we have the same pull? We have
No, but they always have, like, McChicken on the background or something. Like, we can be one of those. We can be a jersey
throw on a
sponsor.
little logo on the jersey.
Yeah, what the hell? Why not?
Yeah, come on down to Bob's Hardware Shop.
Yeah. When I was at West Hill Golden Hawk, it was Chicken Joy. Miru said SDP getting a subscription service. No, but that's a good idea. They said Joy said
and OnlyFans?
OnlyFans where you post rants. Joy said maybe it's a live pod with Sportsnet. It's not that. Somebody said, is SDP the new Tim and Sid? It is not that. Definitely not that. Is Tim
we are the friends.
Somebody Jonas said, is Tim coming on as a 4th member in the Tim and Friends time slot? I don't know why the Tim and Sid connection.
I don't know how that happened.
Is SDPN starting a new esports brand? No, but good idea.
No, Zach Hyman threatened me and told me not to.
Okay.
We were going to call it 12.
The N in SDPN stands for Nylander.
This is called 11.
Is it?
It's a very funny joke. Sorry, what did you say?
The N in SDPN stands for Nylander. He will be the new 4th host.
But now the Leafs have a huge hole on the wing.
The N stands for nation, so the SDPN bought a country. Not that. Somebody else said.
Bunch of numbers.
Somebody else said maybe they're bringing back ice surfing.
Why are you laughing?
Yeah, ice surfing.
Why are you
everybody?
laughing? Yeah, give it up for ice surfing.
Never missed an episode.
Jeff Merrick, Jason York, Statman Stadenrodka. How dare you?
You always have to save it and watch it on Periscope the next day. Cool.
Yeah, you do.
Nick Kiprio's joining the pod, and Steve and him are going to have a Paul Brother-esque boxing match. You and Kipper.
Well, see, he... Like, the Pauls win, though.
Right, I know. Yeah.
Well, one of them.
Another one here. Movie deal for This Team Is Ruining My Life, which would just be Steve at the zoo.
It's me played by, like, someone with abs. That's in the contract.
Jesse brings in money to the network by starting a betting show. Huh.
You know what? Last episode, I tried to do the odds out loud in my head. And boy, did the gatekeeping betting community let me know.
Oh, they sure did.
That I did not calculate it wrong, and you were right. You would have got $90 on your $100 bet.
Listen, just because you don't know what you're doing doesn't mean you can't follow your dreams. That's what I did, and it's worked out. By the way, write that under ideas to steal.
A few more. Steve Dangle Podcast going live in Nebraska.
What?
No. Okay. Landon, Adam, you're announcing your divorce. Sorry, Landon.
How many more of these?
Oh, just a few more. A few more. Okay, one of them said it's got to be one of these things. Chris Johnson appears in person. 2, some sort of partnership. 3, all Manscaped ad episode. Not that. Another one asked for farmers only ads. Steve bought a zoo. Adam does a history corner on divorce. Okay. Andrew Berkshire gets a podcast.
Okay,
interesting.
File that. Right.
Justin Fisher asked if it had something to do with him. He's, quote, feeling a little tired and probably...
How many more?
Okay, all right. Here we go. No. One person, a few people got close. Penguin Scroller from Discord. Reporter Chris joins the SDP full-time. Close. Duke Fan 9. CJ joins the podcast full-time as the insider.
Oh.
Closer.
And we come up with our stupid theories, and then we go, CJ, pull that up. is that correct? And then he just goes, no, almost every time, and we continue.
And lastly, George nailed it. CJ starts a podcast under the new network banner.
Can you file that under Ideas to Steal?
Oh!
Hey guys,
What do you think?
How you doing?
you know, I think we could work with that.
All right, let's do the intro then.
Ideas stolen.
Back at it.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Chris, I just want to read this thing before we get you talking full on this. Chris Johnston, now at the Toronto Star, and his media empire will continue to grow. I'm going to miss his weekly crypto updates, Blue Jays opinions, and reaching out to him to say, you have a good source here? Is there something you can check for me? Knowing this great teammate would always nail down the news that 2020s will be the decade of Johnston. That is from Elliot Friedman in 31 Thoughts. Wow. Or 32 Thoughts, excuse me, Elliot. Sorry about that.
That was the 30-second
That was the 30-second thought. And so, CJ, I mean, listen, I'm going to let you take over from here. What are you doing?
Whew. It's a lot, man. I'm a little emotional about the Elliot thing, I got to be honest.
It's pretty nice.
It feels like a breakup a little bit,
Yeah.
Elliot and I. But this feels like a marriage. And it's not one we're going to get divorced from before anyone gets uppity in the comments.
Thank you.
More marriage?
So yeah, we're going to finally fucking do this. And it's been months and months and months and months in the works. Blocked. I even got lost on my way here, like just comically lost. Like I was like in Newmarket basically.
Oh, is
somehow.
that one? Okay, yeah, we started the podcast.
How did you
so-
pull that off?
It's been a long road, Steve, to get to this point where we're going to have a Chris Johnson show under the SDPM banner. And so it was only fitting that I would have a difficult time getting there tonight.
So I got to tell you, there's some background here. First off, we will meet the host of this show, co-host of this show. Obviously, Chris is the star of the show. We got a host. His name is Julian McKenzie. You might already know him. If you don't, you'll
Big
get to know
ups,
him.
Julian!
We love
Yes.
Julian. Very excited to have him on. And I think also what's important here is that you know that this was a long, long, long time coming. This was, I think we're at 11 months now. We've been talking about this.
Yeah, like we could have had a kid. This podcast
We
could have had a
literally-
kid. Yeah, like, you
It
know,
is.
I did.
And basically, you know, so Chris, this show, just so everybody knows, will run twice a week, and it will be half an hour a show, and it's going to be everything that you know and love about Chris when he comes on our show.
And where
Right.
can you find it?
On the SDPN YouTube page, there will be a Chris Johnson feed if you want to listen to it audio-wise. I mean, you tell me, head of production, Jesse Blake, where can you find
you
it?
subscribe to it on all major podcasting platforms and then on our YouTube page, youtube.com/.
I hope Jesse's ready to work overtime. I want to do like 9 shows a week right now. Like I'm ready
Are
to
you
run
ready?
through a friggin' wall.
The energy Chris brought in here tonight was amazing. I just gotta
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
like I don't know if you can tell on camera, but he's vibrating.
I'm weirdly nervous, like not to be on with you guys, but just like so pumped, excited, anxious, like all those things you feel when you know you're going to do something cool and big and like it's not to be not to put too fun a point on it, but like life-changing kind of moment.
Whoa.
Wow.
I'll take it that far. Honestly, it's been a crazy summer for me. I didn't mean to switch jobs. I switched jobs. It opened up the opportunity to do this. And finally, after literally, I don't know how many phone calls we had, Adam, but a lot of friggin' phone calls, a lot of talking it through, getting excited, getting our hopes dashed, all this stuff. And finally, like, we're actually here announcing this thing. Now we have to do it.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's another thing. First, you sort of buy the house and you figure out how to decorate it.
Yes. Yes.
And then all of a sudden, you got a studio in the basement.
You got to fill it with all the CJ staples, running advice, quotes from the Daily Stoic, Coburg tourism, like things like that.
We got to get you to do a tour of Coburg on our YouTube page. Like
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah, like a top 5 spots
Let's
to
drive
visit in
there
Coburg.
right now.
Oh, really? Let's go.
Although the street lights aren't so bright, so
Oh,
we
they
might
not?
need a little extra lighting there, Jesse.
We
I'll
could
bring the lighting kit.
I mean, this is the thing, right? You're not. It's a show, but it's you've always come on our show and you've brought the A game. And I remember a couple of years ago there was post camp, and I think this was right after what was
2019 loss to
and
the
like
Bruins.
you know they were going to get Tyson Barrie a few weeks later. Like that's the context of that. And I remember Chris texting me going, I might have dropped a few too many bombs on the show because the reaction was so big. And I think what we love the Dangle Navy community is amazing, and everybody that listens to this show is amazing in the intensity that they bring. But Chris, like the intensity and the love that they have for you, this felt like such a natural fit.
Yeah, there was no way. I wasn't settling for less than this. And honestly, when you guys first told me you were putting an N on the end of your initials and that you weren't becoming a nation state, that it was just a network and that there might be a way for us to work together or whatever. I don't know. Are you my boss? I don't even know what this is.
No,
but like,
we're partners.
But you know that we could do something like this. Like once you said that, it was in my mind and my heart, and there was no way I was taking this anywhere else. You know, even honestly, in my contract talks this summer with various places, I had, a few different opportunities. You know, some of them wanted me to do a podcast, and in a weird way, that became a negative for them because obviously if I went and did a podcast for them, this wouldn't be happening. So, it's awesome that somehow it all worked out. Sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways. And like literally 2 months ago, I didn't know I'd be sitting here. 1 month ago, I didn't know I'd be sitting here. But, this is a long time in the making.
So let me ask you guys. What were your thoughts about this as this process happened? Like, I know, Steve, you're out of it. You're completely divorced of all this because you're a busy man.
Divorced? Well,
Poor choice of words.
There's a reason CJ goes, "Are you my boss now?" and then looked at you. And not me. Because,
right.
like, your captain phone call. Like, you've been... I mean, geez, I feel like Jesse and I are like the maid of honor and best man at a wedding between you two, because like you guys really hammered this out and made this happen, right? Mm-hmm. And I know this is something like you really wanted to do.
Oh man,
and I'm fired up because of that. Right?
And honestly, like back in January, I thought it was going to happen.
We all did.
It was. We were at the altar or close to. We were outside of the church at least.
Yeah, yeah.
We had
drove up.
We had the officiant all lined up.
And somebody stood up when they said, "Does anybody reject this marriage?"
Does anyone?
What I will say is that there's a lot here. I mean, every time Chris is on, you can hear the chemistry and the camaraderie. And by the way, for anybody asking, Chris will still come on the show. Don't worry. Like, you're still the fourth member of the STP.
Can you imagine him joining our network being the thing that stops him from coming on the show? Like,
but somebody would ask that question, so that
fair,
will still happen.
Fair.
But the thing about this too that's special is that what you bring, Chris, that I think everybody here recognizes, and I feel like you're among family, so we can say we, is that you're a guy who is, you're well informed, you have all these connections, blah blah blah, big deal. But you're also a guy that we all kind of want to hang out with. We all want to be friends. Like I keep saying to Chris, we've never done it.
Am I the old guy you just like keep
No,
around
you're
just to
right.
like, just in case trouble breaks out? Mr. Johnson will know what to do.
No, it's just, there's that. And you also calm us down every offseason when the Leafs blow it. But I think what it is that like you look at the way that our listeners respond to you and how much they love you, and I think that's the part here that I think is going to work, is that it starts here. And it starts with the people that love you so much in this community, and we know it's going to grow. It's going to be a huge show. But I'm like so excited too for everybody to meet Julian, because that is a guy. Yeah. There's a guy who's a rising star.
Have we not had him on the show?
We've never had him on the show.
Nope.
He's on Tim and Friends all the time now.
You've co-hosted a show with Julian on Tim and Friends before he's been on this podcast.
Yeah, and I think it was actually both of you were on the same stream. One playoff game. I think it was Montreal versus Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah. That was. I mean, Julian's unreal. Like we wanted to.
This is a guy we wanted him.
We wanted to put you with a host worthy of he's at your caliber, and we found one.
Well, it's cool. So I didn't know Julian when we first started talking about this, going way back more than a year ago, and I started making some phone calls to people I trust in the industry. Thinking of doing a podcast, would love to find a young, energetic host, someone, who do you think? And like, I kept hearing about this guy. Mm-hmm. And, honestly, he came to me by word of mouth. Now, obviously, you guys are making these kind of choices as the overlords of whatever this is. This nation state that you are building out of a basement.
Me and Jesse, basically.
Steve?
I'm a silent partner.
Steve's
But I'm just saying,
Jesse and I.
By no means that I hired Julian or find Julian, but when it came to the idea of working with him, a lot of people that I trust implicitly in this industry just spoke to his work ethic, how much he hustles in Montreal, You know, like he's had to take the hard way into this industry, which a lot of people do. Let's face it. There's not an easy way into this industry nowadays, really.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so you guys, especially the two of you, because Jesse and I came up through pop radio, so it's a little different. But when you guys started out, when you were at your part-time job stage, and you had multiple, what were your multiple part-time jobs? I know a little bit more about yours, Steve, but it was NHL Network, CBC, Zoo.
Well, yeah, Toronto Zoo.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, if we're gonna go non-sports, like I worked
All at the same time.
I worked at HMV one Christmas, like I like for like 5 minutes.
Sold some CDs. Cool.
Yeah. Leafs TV. I honestly forget,
Chris,
but I've collected a paycheck from every major sports outlet in the country. Basically.
Yes, 100%. Chris, you did too, right?
More or less, and I don't know how far back you want to go. Like, honestly, one of my first job was I used to write physical letters and send them in the mail to NHL teams, get autographs from players, and sell them at the schoolyard.
No way.
That's like a real thing that happened, and I actually have a bunch of the old ones that I never sold, like Teemu Selanne and Jets like stuff, and a bunch of others in my dad's basement, like to prove that I used to do that.
That's pretty cool. Well, so the reason I asked that is when I spoke to Julian the first time, he was working at TSN Radio in Montreal. Sportsnet had him writing some stuff. He was working at CTV Montreal doing like
the
sports
weather.
and weather. And then he had two podcasts, one with Yahoo and one on his own.
He filled in on Sportsnet and TSN in like the same month.
Yeah,
Like he's
that good.
He's exceptional. I
Yeah.
had the pleasure of having Zoom beers with him
Oh, really?
a few months back. Yeah, it was great.
So yeah, and
I
Julian,
had joked that we were the unholy media alliance. He is single-handedly the unholy media
Right.
alliance.
Right.
He just works for everybody.
yeah, and honestly, like,
That he's collecting us like Thanos. Like,
Yes. We're his trading cards.
and
really.
let's be straight. Obviously, there's some media rivalries in this country, but if all of us had our druthers, we'd all work together, right? It's not like that. We don't have like a team thing. It's everybody.
Every time you bring up the fact that you work
For Bell versus Rogers, we'd all rather just work together and
get
have
so
some fun.
mad. No. I have a dartboard with Jay Onright's face on it.
Good.
Do you know what one of the more fun nights I've ever had in my career was? I think it was the Cup final in Vegas, and a group of TSN on-air people went out for dinner with a group of Sportsnet on-air people, and then at the end we did that game that NHL players do where everyone puts their credit card in
Oh, no way.
to pay for it. And it was just a really cool night because it literally was like 6 or 8 from each network all together, laughing, breaking bread, telling stories and lies and all the things you do on those things. And then at the end, someone had to pay. And it was hilarious to watch David Amber nearly have to pay. Like, for such a ripped, jacked man,
Yes.
David Amber gets nervous.
Does
like,
he?
if it's
Oh, yeah. Oh,
if
yeah.
he's facing
Oh, yeah.
if he's facing a meaningless 3-foot putt on a golf course, oh yeah, like absolutely.
Adam, we
gotta
know
send him
how
this clip.
you always describe watching a Leaf game with me and I'm throwing my phone.
Yeah.
No, that's him every night at work. Oh yeah.
Is he a Leaf fan, by the way?
He's
He's
pro
actually-
Canadian team.
Pro Canadian team. Okay.
But like legitimately.
Yes.
Like it's almost, again, that's even comical because we've been there at hockey night in like November. And he's already worried about like where the Jets are in the playoff race and stuff, and like freaking out if they're down 3-1 in Anaheim or whatever. Like he
Take
anyway.
that, Columbus.
Who paid that night?
Who did
Who
pay
lost?
that night?
Now this is hilarious. So, well, it depends. It wasn't me, so it was really hilarious.
It was an unpaid intern. It was like a real dick move that they all did that. It
was producer Drew.
I could, no, he's not.
It was Bobby Mack.
And so the right guy.
Yeah.
But it was
As he
legitimate.
should.
It was legitimate, and it was down to Bobby Mack and David Amber when there was 2 cards left in the hat.
Wow.
And so David was like, forget a 3-foot putt. He was freaking out. And I should be clear here in case I don't want anything to be missed my tone. Like, David Amber is the biggest sweetheart of a man.
Oh yeah, I think everybody
Like,
knows that.
Super good friend of mine, but you know, as with all good friends, I know where to poke him. Man, he gets so nervous.
He's a guy that I've been dying to have on this show.
He's unreal.
He just seems like, first off, he was at the Dangle Navy tournament, right? He was at was he not at the
No,
thing?
he wasn't able to, but he made a big donation.
Where did we see? I saw him somewhere. I was like, holy
Yeah, he
crap.
donated the money he didn't have to spend on that dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He like, first off, clearly works out every day all the time. And second, he just seems like a big ball of positivity. Like, I don't know if you could find I mean, maybe, I know off camera we're all a little different, but like, I don't think you can fake that. That seems real.
Oh yeah, he's what you see is what you get.
No, that's amazing. I love that.
And
I
it's
love that.
actually great too, because obviously in media circles, this isn't a commentary on anyone in particular, but like some people are sort of divas or whatever. I think some of that reputation is earned for people in television.
Dangle.
What?
I know. But like David is as genuine as they come, and I think that's like that really is my takeaway from working with him and spending so much time with him is like good for him for because he co-hosts Hockey Night in Canada with Ron McLean. Like,
Yeah.
If anyone could have an ego,
Yeah.
I think like the world would allow him to have an ego, but
Yeah.
it really doesn't, and he's just a super guy.
My last like fun industry moment before everything shut down because of COVID. Amber was my Uber after.
Oh,
trade
yeah?
deadline. Drove me
funny.
to dinner. Just no problem. Just here, hop in the back.
That's pretty
Me
cool.
and JD Bunkus. Just,
5-star rating, I hope.
Seriously.
he hit a curb. So.
So today's episode is sponsored by the NBA and their quest to advance the game of basketball, grow the community, bring communities together, and impact culture. The league celebrates its teams, players, and fans from across the past, present, and future as a part of the 75th anniversary season that they're celebrating this year. That's Game highlights pivotal moments on court and beyond, from iconic plays in arenas to the impact players have had in the community. That's the NBA. That's Game. I know, for instance, in our community, the Raptors are in the schools. They're everywhere all the time, building basketball arenas, doing incredible community outreach programs, and that's what the wider NBA is all about. So it's more than just basketball. You know that, I know that, and it's what connects us all, and it keeps us coming back for more. That's the NBA. That's Game. Check it out. All right, here it is. It's your favorite commercial of the SDP. Favorite one. What do you think it is? Yeah, that's right. It's Manscaped. And listen, we need to talk about the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped. It's not only taken off in the USA, but in Canada, here, of course, the UK, and across Europe, Australia, South Africa, Singapore. We're talking in every country, people are discovering what it's like to be so fresh and so clean and so aerodynamic. And that's what Manscaped wants. First off, let's talk about the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim that area of your body, even your anus. Sorry, it's here. The 4th generation trimmer also features cutting-edge ceramic blade technology. We're talking no accidents. You know what I mean? And there's so much more that comes in this package. But what I love about it is the fact that it actually has an LED light, so you could see what's happening. Do you know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. We want to give you 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com. Just use the code DANGLE, DANGLE. That's 20% off for a very clean, out-of-this-world feeling. I know that me reading this and talking to you about that area of your body might make you uncomfortable, but the whole point is we don't want you to be uncomfortable down there. So you should get 20% off at manscaped.com with the promo code DANGLE, DANGLE. Just go there, manscaped.com, promo code DANGLE, and you will have a fresh and clean and aerodynamic and just out of this world body experience, okay? Manscaped.com, use the promo code DANGLE, get 20% off, get free shipping. Go. And by the way, we'll be back with another one of these next episode. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. You can check out betterhelp.com/SDP. Now, life is full of stressors. We know that. It can be your family. It can be your job. It could be your partner and what's going on in their life. And you might have no control over it. If you're feeling a little down and out or depressed, maybe like you're like a total loss. Maybe your stress is high. Maybe your temper's shorter than usual. It could be anything. Unload your stress, get it out, and talk to someone with a completely unbiased view about your life. Someone who isn't going to judge you or take sides on anything. They just want to help. And when there are things that you can't tell anyone, BetterHelp is the place to go. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't even have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Unload the stressors and get some unbiased feedback that you'd be pretty surprised, actually, what you can gain from this. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Steve Dangle Podcast listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/SDP. That's BETTERHELP.com/SDP. Listen, Chris, I think a lot of people have watched this summer and were surprised for you not to be at sports then anymore because we've just so used to you 8 years there?
Yeah, 8.5.
And, really great memories and a great time and a great partnership between you and them. And obviously you told Elliot and whatever. And a lot of people want to know what because I don't know if you spoke about it in the column, but while you're here, can you tell us a little bit about what the role at the Star is going to be and what you're hoping to accomplish there, because it is really a new chapter for you.
It is, and look, I think change can be healthy for everyone. And it really wasn't my intention at the start of the summer for it to go this way, but you just never know when you. I remember Daniel Alfredson said when he left Ottawa, because if you remember, the Senators left him unsigned right up, and that was when they started that free agent window. And he said as soon as he got to the point where he started talking to other teams, it was like he opened this door in his brain, and he started imagining what it would, because he'd been a Senator his whole life. And so, I haven't worked at Sportsnet my whole life, but obviously tremendously proud to spend 4 seasons on Hockey Night in Canada. Loved my colleagues, as I said. But, I started having conversations. My contract was coming to an end. And really what's taken me in this new venture where you can see my writing in the Star now is, they have a real specific plan. And I'm not really at liberty to disclose it all because this is definitely above my pay grade.
Why not?
Well, look.
Tell us.
Say it.
Here's the thing. I want a hallmark of my show to where I'm not lying to my audience. And I want the audience to know that. But, certain things like this, I'm protecting obviously myself here, but this isn't all.
There's a fiduciary responsibility with that.
This isn't all in the public domain yet, but they have a very specific plan for some, evolutions in the way they do business. They, really believed in me and had a lot of really open conversations with, how they thought I could help in what they want to do. And, I wanted to be a hockey journalist since I was 5 years old. And the reason that's the case is because literally every morning at the breakfast table, my mom and I would sit there with the paper, and I would always read the sports section, and she'd read all the other stuff that made her much smarter than I was or am. And, that's really where the dream was born. And, I don't come from a family where, my dad was an immigrant from Scotland, basically didn't go to school because, he had a tough upbringing and came here for a better life, as a lot of Canadians do. My mom went through university, but, my point was I had no obvious entry point, right? Other than I was lucky.
There was no connection to the
I was
media.
lucky to be born in Canada, and I had really supportive, loving family, so obviously I got a head start on a lot of people in the world. But, it's not like they knew how to do it, but my mom was just like, yeah, you could do that. And so I read the newspaper and dreamed of it, and honestly never really let go of that dream until somehow I did it, and now I'm like mid-career. And every once in a while I remember all this, and I was like, I'm not sure how that all played out. But, honestly, when the Toronto Star came to me and they have this plan with Nordstar, a new company they're launching, which is who I'm technically employed by, where I can be part of their, this new chapter in their business and help hopefully, take them to new heights and be part of a team there. I mean, it was such a unique opportunity. And honestly, I'm a sentimentalist at heart. Like, I can't hide that fact. And there was something pulling on, the corner of my jeans there, just thinking like there was a little magic in the possibility there. And, it's the same with this podcast. Like, this only works. Like, I'm taking a bit of career risk here. Let's just call it as it is. Because, like, most people, if they leave the set of Hockey Night in Canada, they do it with a, severance check or something. Like, it's because they
or kicking and screaming, because you got to live that dream too.
Right. But
I'm just saying, that would be my dream. I want to host Hockey Night in Canada one day too. I mean, it would be amazing. Like, who doesn't want to do that?
Right. And look, like, I almost felt like I never belonged there, honestly, for 4 years. Like,
really?
Oh man.
Like, I did too.
I still got, like, I got nervous every Saturday.
I think that's normal though, isn't it?
Yeah, but like, not the nervous, like, I don't want to screw up. Like, it just sort of felt so big. Like, it was awesome. Like, and so I don't want that ever to get twisted. Like,
no, I
loved the opportunity, but again, it's just like that part of my mind open. And so I'm taking a little bit of a calculated risk with my career, but I believe in the audience. And this will only work if enough people go to my articles at the Toronto Star. And everyone, everyone subscribes to a bunch of stuff right now. I get it. But if enough people subscribe to that and want to read what I'm doing and engage with what I'm doing there, if we get enough listeners to the Chris Johnson Show with Julian McKenzie, this only works if there's an audience. And so I'm betting on the fact that there'll be an audience and that we can build something. And obviously you guys are a huge part of that too. And so I'm excited to have my work appear at the Star and eventually some other places once they get their other businesses up and running. And I'm excited to do this podcast. And I don't know. We need you guys. So please listen, please subscribe, please read. Honestly, go to the Star and subscribe on one of my articles, and then tell me if you see me out and about. I'll buy you a beer. I'll reimburse you. They got a great deal on right now. But that's going to help make it successful for me. And obviously, I want lots of people to keep listening to the SDPN because.
Well, yeah, and we've got other things cooking too, right? This is the first step. But what was important to us, and it's funny because this is the first thing that firmed up, frankly. But this was always going to be the first thing we announced because, I can remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, but years and years and years ago, this has to be 6 years ago now, Chris made his first appearance on the show. And he showed up in a suit and tie.
Oh, yeah.
And he had his briefcase. And I have to be honest with you. Do you remember this?
Was that the
Doug
Sifu episode? I think it might have been.
I was on one with him, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you left midway through.
Yeah.
And were we not on 31 Thoughts?
Yeah, and we're like in the middle
article?
of our biggest interview that we had up to that point, and you and I are like taking selfies. And
I was in BC, and you guys sent me the audio because I wasn't there for the Doug Sifu episode.
Because you're on vacation.
Yeah,
That's right.
I was in Vancouver.
Wow.
Was that my first time on, though?
it
might have been.
I'm not
It might have been
sure.
before, but
I don't
that was.
remember.
But
I know I've been on a fair number of times.
I just remember. I remember sitting there thinking, like, I can't believe this guy is making time for this weenie little
yeah.
podcast. Like, really, it was for us. It was like I was like, holy smokes, this is great. Like, in the stuff you said, and I was like, I'm like, does he know that? I know we've got a good little audience here, but I didn't. I was amazed, and so. What I've always been blown away by with Chris Johnston is if I can talk about you as if you're not here, is you not only can say these things, but you can carry a show and you can carry a conversation. And there's a difference, right? There's it's like what Elliot and Jeff have it too, right? There's certain people that can deliver the information but can't carry a show beyond 30 seconds, and that's fine. But Chris, you could talk to for hours. And it's the humanity of Chris Johnston that I'm so excited for everybody to get to know, because it's not only are they going to get the information that you provide and deep dive into some of the biggest stories of the week, which is what you do, but they're also going to get to know you a little bit better. And I think, Steve,
that's the balance I'm nervous about, if I'm being honest.
Why? Really?
Just like, what's the line between obviously doing my job, talking about a story of the week, letting you know what I know, giving you the context of why decisions are made, and then being a big idiot goof who's...
Steve?
I mean, that's going to happen. Despite your best efforts and sometimes lackadaisical efforts, yes, that will certainly happen. But you'll establish a connection that I don't think you ever thought possible with people. Adam always talks about, I was doing my LFRs in my channel for a long time. And pretty...
I've seen some of the early ones. It was a long time ago.
They're tough. They're tough. Like, to pretty...
They're not, but they worked at the time. Yeah. Right? Context of time matters, I think, too.
And then they started to click, and then my friend Adam decided he was done collecting air miles for a while.
Yeah.
And you put down some roots, and you said, let's start a show. And it's amazing. Like, I was like... When we thought about the idea originally, I was like, I think I have 3 shows worth of material and then we're done. Like, I have not lived enough life yet. I don't have enough of an in the industry. And I don't know, 8 years later, we're still doing 1.5 hour podcasts talking about, I don't know, friggin', all the hockey news of today, the hockey news of yesterday, video games, Pokemon, Chinese emperors,
hot dog eating contest.
Hot dog eating contest victory.
I was uncomfortable watching that.
It was
a lot. I was uncomfortable winning that. Adam more so because he barfed.
Yes,
yeah, that was pretty
I
rough.
remember.
Sid Sixero texted us afterwards. He's like, "Gentlemen, that's great. That was great."
Yeah.
We're like, "Why are you watching this too?"
You know that Sid could just walk in there, no training, no nothing, and hammer you.
We'd done. Be done.
Like, just give him the belt on the way in the door.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
And
He'd be eating a hot dog just to celebrate afterwards.
Right, which is somehow a compliment.
Yeah.
It's big kudos from him. Like, when I got to co-host Tim and Sid with him, I had chicken fingers with him because that's like having a blunt with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have chicken fingers with Sid Sixero.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
Sid Sixero.
The thing I'm most excited
amazing.
about for this podcast is the relationship you and Julian are going to build with your audience.
Yeah.
Because I think like that transparency really comes through with podcasts because the people are going to live with it twice a week on their commute, their every day. They're going to have you in the ears, and they're really going to see who Chris Johnston is, and they're going to see your personality come through for
Warts
hours
and all?
every week. Yeah, warts and all.
Oh, no.
And then, because I don't think you've really had that platform yet in your career. Because on Hockey Night, it's okay. You're going to deliver the news. You're going to deliver the headlines, and then your articles.
And then radio hit.
Just give us the info. We got to
radio
hit the 40 at the bottom of the hour, you know. And then with your articles, it's about the players and the storyline of the game. And now you get a chance to where you're really going to show like who you are as a person and build a huge audience. I'm excited to see where that takes you.
No pressure, eh?
No pressure.
But I don't think
it's
it
just
is.
a modest audience.
Yeah, no, but I think
A group of friends and family, you might say, that learn how to
My wife listens.
download.
I'm excited to see. I grew up in the same hometown as Justin Williams turn into your I drafted Rick Nash. Like, I'm really I'm excited to see that
Doug
happen.
McLean.
I've tried to dial that back in general. Like,
Who else is from Coburn? Tell us now.
Don't dial that back. You own that.
No,
man.
it's the cover of your Twitter. I am the Drake of Chris Johnson is the Drake
Yeah,
of
I don't know.
Coburn.
Someone random just threw that in there. When I died, when I first saw that, like I actually laughed out. Like that was a legit laugh out loud when I saw that for the first time.
Writing raps about like intersections, both of them. Like,
Whoa! I'm from Oshawa. Everything is so much bigger in Oshawa.
you know me, big city guy, Oshawa. You know, Adam's always saying, "Oh, you city slicker."
So what? And I think to Steve's point, and what Jesse said too, is like literally, it's Steve's career obviously was going just fine without this show. But then once people got to, you're doing it. We started in an hour, and then we went to like 2 hours, and then we went up to like 2.5 hours, and then
we dialed it back.
And then we're like, okay, that's a little too much.
That's too much.
It's too goddamn much. We're exhausted. But that's where people got to really know Steve, right? And I think this is what's going to be so cool for you and for Julian.
Well, they also got to know him by yelling into his computer for 14 straight seasons of Leaf games.
But you've never, when we like, it's crazy. We've been through what you go through on a show is you become like a family. Like you think about, we've been through marriages, divorces, deaths, births, like everything, all of it.
That's just you, Adam.
Peanut butter. Selling peanut butter. And so
taking trips to Manitoulin Island.
Yeah.
In the piss pouring rain.
Can you believe this is in Ontario?
Sure can. Definitely can.
Looks like Alberta to me, guys. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're wet and in a boat. That's, yep. Got it.
How long was that trek across the lake there?
Well, so the Chichiman is it 2 hours? Hour and a half, something like that. And then, but we did it in a day. So you're 2 hours one way, and then you're there the whole day, and then you're 2 hours back, and then you get to your hotel.
So you had 4 hours of commuting.
And the thing is, like, we were there on a God bless them. They were such a great partner to work with, but that it was like the
they were so great. I actually can't believe they're in Ontario. Like literally. Like, they were great the way you expect out in the Maritimes or something. Not some Ontario asshole, though.
It was a special weather statement that day, so there was like 10 centimeters of rain or whatever, and like it was just like, this is the worst possible weather day we could have asked for.
His weather app said, "Adam, stop and turn around."
Yeah. Honestly.
Did you put the truck on the boat, the ferry, and ship it over?
Oh yeah. Okay. Do you want to hear some stories from that? Just one quick.
I've really got nowhere to be. This is your guys' show.
This is the rest of your night.
So listen, we're going to talk about Jack Eichel. We're going to talk about Leafs camp. We're going to meet Julian McKenzie. But I got to tell you this. So just this one story. So it's early in the morning, and my girlfriend, God bless her, is along with me for the ride, because in dating me, you become my de facto cameraman for stuff like that. And I don't think she signed up for that, but that's what happened. And so we got on this boat, and it's a boat that you drive onto, and it's clean. It shows up on time, all that stuff. But you remember that, like, Manitoulin is farming country, right? Other than tourism.
I actually have no idea.
Well, yeah, okay.
I'll take your word for it.
So there's farming there. So a guy pulls up, and it's 7 a.m. I'm not a morning person as it is. Neither is my girlfriend. And
you host a morning radio show.
I know, I'm not a morning person at all. It's a struggle.
It's like, I'm not a hockey guy. I can take it or leave it.
You're more into chess.
Yeah. More of a chess guy. So we get on this boat, and this guy pulls up beside us. He's got this huge Tundra pickup truck, and he's pulling cattle, and it's like a big cattle thing. And it's not just, you see cattle on the highway, or you see them kind of at a thing, and they're being loaded on a truck, and they're fine. These cattle are not okay. these cattle are extremely agitated. So
they're on a boat.
yeah, so we're
And
in
it's
this
7 a.m.
It's 7 a.m. and
That's it.
and they're like, you woke me up to get on a wet boat. Thanks,
They
guys.
hadn't had a coffee.
And they're so agitated that you're almost like, you know, when someone's stressed out in a room and you don't know them, but you're stressed out for them. You're picking up the cow's energy here, and the
feel
cows
that
are
every
like,
day.
they're like looking out the, you know, because they've got the blocks so the cows can't see anything. So the cows figured out that they can get their big black eyeball like out thing, and they're like sticking their tongue out and going. Brrr, brrr. And that
This won't be a meme.
It was. It was unbelievably uncomfortable. I was like, and then
Amazing that didn't make your Instagram.
no, I know.
ad.
And then of course these kids are like, cows, and they run towards the cows, and then they're yelling at the
banging on
cows,
it.
banging on the thing. I'm like, where are the parents? Shut
Oh, you know what I
up.
learned at the zoo is that hyper kids always make every situation better.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway,
Did you work at the zoo?
yeah. So here's what I want to do before we get into Leafs camp, because you were there, Steve was there. We want to get your takeaways and obviously the Eichel situation, Kaprizov signs, all that stuff. I do want to do. Can we do the official jersey thing?
Yes.
I would love to.
Let's do it.
So
Where is it?
Oh,
ladies and
baby.
gentlemen, a first edition Chris Johnston jersey to welcome you
Wow.
to the team.
I thought you guys
Do you have
retired
a-
number 9. That's a
Yeah,
real.
No,
Do
we
you have
don't
a
have any
Sharpie?
retired
We
numbers.
have no retired numbers on the Dangle Navy, and we will never retire.
Do we have to
numbers.
pose?
Oh no.
It's like our draft.
Oh yeah,
This is awful.
Jesse and I just we're just here.
Get up and
No,
shake his
we're
hand.
just- we're
Shake
just-
the man's hand. Get up.
Let's take our Steve Carell from The Office poster.
There it
This
is.
is gonna be great for Spotify.
All right.
Shout out Spotify, everybody.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He's getting his jersey on. I don't know what the problem is here. Jeez. This is great. There it is, right there on the ISO. Thumbs
No,
up.
you're way too tall.
Not for nothing.
I was adjusting the camera.
So Chris, Steve, you were both at camp for very different reasons, obviously.
My
Steve,
stuff was better.
Steve was there to.
You scoot down a little.
I don't know, Steve, what you can say about what you did.
Yeah, because I don't want to blow it. All right?
Oh,
But-
okay.
well, no,
So this is, but it's really like what you're gonna have for sports. That's gonna be.
It's
great.
going to be very funny. It's
Okay.
going to. Okay, I will. I can tell you who I spoke to.
Okay.
So, it was a very different media day than any of the very few that I'd been to, because like everything just went so fast.
Yeah.
Because there were fewer people and restrictions and everything was very tightly scheduled. If I had hit a lick of traffic, I would have missed 3 guys.
Really?
Because we had 3 guys done before we were even supposed to start. So I'd been there like 5-10 minutes. They're like, all right, here's Wayne Simmons. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm into an interview that I've wanted to do for a decade. And we're talking about Scarborough and everything. And our producer, Graham, who's from Guildwood, said that I'm from fake Scarborough. He said Port Union is fake Scarborough.
No, it's not. It's
and he
still
asked Wayne
Scarborough.
Simmons his opinion on that. And he said it is part of Scarborough because Wayne Simmons is right.
Because he was from Port Union.
How dare you? Yes.
Because Wayne,
Yes.
he grew up in our neighborhood.
No, Graham's wrong.
Yeah.
Graham is wrong.
That's
How far did he grow up from your houses?
Oh, like
I
I can't remember where he lived.
know exactly where he lived.
I mean, don't give his address.
No,
out
I
here,
wouldn't. But he
Say it.
was right.
What's the social
it,
insurance?
It was right
Can we
away.
get, how quickly can we get there?
Really super close to Mowat. Super close to Mowat.
Oh, okay.
Near the library and the and like where Sugar's was.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
yeah,
where all of us bought dangerous crackers.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
kids,
I
kids
actually
would
used to
pop them with their teeth.
I used to hang out on the roof of that plaza. But anyway, yeah.
Okay,
but that
anyway.
was very very definitely Scarborough.
So I would have, if I hit a lick of traffic, I would have missed Wayne Simmons, Jack Campbell, and John Tavares in that order. Like that's a pretty unforgivable list, but we got them all in an amazing.
What would
mood.
they have done? Like, were you doing all the interviews?
They would have just left. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I did it all. I
But, like,
suppose the producer
Would
would have
Jeremy
had to,
McElhaney have like come in from the bullpen? The
yeah,
producer,
or Graham. Like
Graham?
someone would have
Yeah.
just had to been like, all right, I'm Steve now, and
Wow.
they would have had to put me like fake me in later.
How come they did them so early? Like you had a set time, right?
I don't know. I guess they were all sitting there waiting. And
I
they're like, can we
actually
start?
think, whoa, let's not let Steve off the hook. This isn't like if you're not 10 minutes early, you're 20 minutes late kind of situation.
I was wicked early. And thank God.
You better be.
Yeah.
Like, what time did you get there?
At least 8:30.
There was traffic. Did you take the Gardner?
I took the 407, but 427.
You probably got a
big money.
transponder there. Big money, man.
Mr. Moneybags.
That's what you do when you live in the middle of nowhere.
The schwiggity.
Can we redo my contract?
I'm sorry, I
considered this.
can't make a transponder a part of it. But yeah, you're coming in from even further than Steve. You're like, you 5 cities over? You're 6 cities over?
You're downtown.
You're past Newcastle. Like you're in
That's where
Shelbyville.
my heart is, but I'm physically in downtown Toronto.
Yeah, there you go.
So
8 kilometers door to door.
The one thing I will say is that with with the two of you and having been at Leaf Camp, this is the one year I can remember where there really hasn't been some major dramatic story other than who's vaccinated and who's not. And I don't want to get into the vaccinated talk because everybody's getting into that. But like if there was a takeaway from this
and I don't think it's that bad in this case.
No, it's not. Well, I know Nylander's got one vax or something like that, but then
he had an allergy which can be made worse by the vaccine. So he was vaccine hesitant. Okay. And then as soon as the rules came out, it wasn't like he had to be arm twisted, I don't think.
No.
There's definitely some cases around the league that, I don't know if we want to name names here, but where there was like some pretty serious arm twisting just to get the vax. Like with William, he got it and he'll be fully vaxxed like any day now.
Okay. So then from your just from the camp, and we'll get to the NHL wider in a second, what's been your takeaway? Like what are you saw yesterday was the media day, today was practice. Like, what have you seen? What's it like? What's the mood?
The mood's pretty campy. It's normal.
Okay.
I understand a lot of the fan base or people listening might be hanging on to what happened in May, but I really do think the players on the team, it's kind of exciting. Like when you start up I used to like the start of school. I don't know why I was that nerd, but it's kind of fun to get the fresh start and get back and see your friends again and do that. So I think there's a little bit of that vibe that we all used to have in September when we went back to school.
They were really upbeat.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah.
Well, I mean, have you ever made a mistake in your life or had a disappointment? You don't have to live with it every day for 5 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to excuse it, or I'm not saying, hey, that was no big deal of a loss or nothing like that. But my point is, at some point, these guys had to deal with it and move on, and their team's probably going to be awesome again this year. And so I don't get the feeling, other than all the questions about it, that they much care about it, to be honest. I thought Morgan... I don't know where everyone's at with this, but it's pretty clear to me the odds are on the below 50 that he'll be with the Leafs next season. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean there's zero. There's still time and things can happen and we don't know. But you're almost seeing him kind of process or realize that in real time when he's asked, do you want to be a Leaf beyond this year? And he's like, you guys know how much I want to be a Leaf, but there's a business aspect to this. That was as close to maybe of a flashy quote or what have you. And then today was the first day of practice and it was insane. This is I actually was thinking about imagine they put the reporters on the ice. So there's 2 groups, but for both groups, their first 25 minutes, no pucks on the ice, literally just doing, I don't know the politically correct word for this drill.
Skate?
Yeah, well, it used to be called suicides back in the day.
Right.
I presume it's like a conditioning skate where you're doing the lines back and forth, stopping, starting. And literally for 25 straight minutes. And we're talking about obviously well-conditioned athletes. And these guys were dying. I'm talking actually crumpled on the ice.
Did you see the photos and videos from the Canucks camp?
Yes.
OEL?
Yeah.
Oliver Ekman-Larsson, by the way, if anybody doesn't know
One of them pulled an Adam Wild out there.
What's that?
Didn't you?
He threw up.
Yeah.
Connor Garland threw up, and Olli Juolevi was in a crumpled heap in the corner.
And Oliver Ekman-Larsson was lagging behind everybody else.
25 minutes of suicides?
Yes.
25
That's
minutes.
Brutal.
What are they doing that for?
Gosh.
They did it last year.
Oh,
and
they
it's
just do it.
Sheldon Keefe said, look, there's no good time to do it. So he wants to do it first. It's just he said it's hard to win. It's hard to play a whole season. It's hard to be in this league. Let's start off with hard. And, it was actually, it sounds repetitive. It was interesting to watch because you're talking again about, some of these guys literally don't drink any alcohol, don't eat any sugar, go to bed at 7:30 every night. These guys are doing everything to maximize what they can do physically. And they're dying after 20 minutes of this. And I was like, let's let any random Joe. I would love to see like a beer league team get put through the same exercise.
It's
like it would
the-
actually be hilarious.
Do you remember the beep test in high school?
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely didn't go
Do you know
25 minutes.
they've taken that out of school? I think the furthest I got was 11 minutes in the beep test, but they've taken that out of school because somebody complained and they like tried to prove that it was torture, like
It's
actual
pretty much
torture.
torture.
It felt like torture. It was terrible.
It was psychological. So just don't finish last. Just
Keefe
don't
actually,
finish last, just don't
it's
finish
funny. Sheldon Keefe actually said it was more about pushing the guy psychologically than physically.
Yeah.
It's about sort of like forcing you already to dig deep and push beyond whatever you think your limit is.
What do you think?
So that was
sorry.
actually kind of cool. Like easy for me to say because I'm not down there doing it, but it was really interesting to watch them do that.
Usually the coach picks like a thing that's their thing at camp, where it's like, well, we want to do this, we want to accomplish this. What do you think Sheldon Keefe's focus for this group is?
So last year they were trying to set the standard.
Okay.
This year they're trying to raise the standard.
Mm.
And so I don't know. Obviously, I think he's probably pulling a lot of different things out of that. He's probably referencing back to that larger point when he's doing PK meetings, sort of specific things. But let's face it, like the Leafs became a very, very, very good 5-on-5 team last year. They allowed the 6th fewest shots against on a per rate basis at even strength, and they were 29th 2 seasons before that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they got a lot better last season. Absent a couple games in May.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
I mean,
if
the
you're-
regular season was still a good team, Steve. Poor Steve. I'm so sorry, Steve.
Well, they were an
I feel bad for. I feel bad about it, but I feel bad for Steve about it.
Yes,
Right.
but they were an excellent team, and so I think the idea is that they did take a step last year, and so now they're raising the bar. I mean, look, a lot of coaching is like there's a very tactical side. There's a psychological. You've got to connect with your players as human beings. Maybe sense when something's wrong, try to address things. I mean, it's a crazy job, but there's also a sales side, right? You're almost just trying to like get their mind in the right place and come up with these snappy ways of selling the same message. And we'll see if it works. But it's a very upbeat camp for those that are still sad about the result of last season.
So there's a subtext to everything, right? So we're setting the standard, then we're raising the standard. The vibe I'm getting is last year there was a little bit of hand holding. Hey guys, here's what we're trying to do. And this year it's you're on your own. Like literally, you guys figure this shit out. We have to win this year. We have to. There's no other option. Like we have to. There has to be a sizable improvement, or half of you are gone. I'm gone. So someone else is trading you because I'm gone. Right? That is the vibe I'm getting from this team.
Yeah, there's no kids' table at dinner at this family holiday anymore, right?
No.
Like everything's being called as it is. I'm under the impression a week or two before camp opened that Kyle Dubas had a series of meetings with the key guys, and I don't know all that was said there, but I got the impression that some of it was just this is like the last dance thing. And I know some people want to push against that idea. Obviously, like Austin Matthews, I'm reasonably sure, like 99.99% sure, no matter what happens this season, will be a Leaf at the start of next season. But, what he can't count on if you're him is who will be around him. And, he's been here a long time. It's sort of like I was saying how emotional it was for me to leave a job where I have great friends like David Amber, Elliot Friedman, Carolyn Cameron, many other people. Like that's hard. Like I didn't, you want to take parts of it. You
want to take them all with you.
Yeah, sort of. Like it sounds weird or corny, but like I don't think that. I think that does loom over some of the players. That yes, okay, you probably won't be traded. But everything around you could look different at this time next season. And so I think that they're calling that as it is, as you say. Like everyone's grown up. No need to pretend. You can't probably go through a season and lose a 6th straight year in the first round or first play-in game, whatever the playoffs, and just roll it back and be like, all right.
I know we're committed.
They sort of set the standard with the rookie tournament. Like they sort of took the focus off development, and it's like, all right, which one of you is the best? Just show us. Just show us. We're not going to give you any tips or anything. Just fucking go out there and do good.
And who do you guys think was the best
at the rookie tournament?
Nick Robertson.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's actually played NHL games.
Yeah. So second best then.
Who was second best?
Yeah, like who would surprise? I guess because it could be like Liljegren.
They took like 14 guys that aren't even in their organization. They signed all these amateur tryout guys because first of all they didn't make any draft picks last year, barely.
Yeah,
and then they didn't have access to their players that are European draft picks like Amarov or Vonin or guys like that because they're on teams in Europe right now. So they didn't have a lot of their own prospects.
Okay.
I was first of all, I sort of called that months ago because like this is okay. If you're the find a needle in a haystack team, you're the we have these expensive contracts, but we're the smartest guys in the room. We're going to be able to find all those undrafted guys, especially in a year where the draft was pretty unconventional. Like I want to see those guys at camp and doing well, and who knows, maybe some of them will get ELCs. I was actually pretty surprised with. Like, if you've played professional games, you should be dominating these games. And Joseph Duzak was actually extremely good, who barely made my prospect pyramid. He's a little older, but you tell me if I'm wrong here.
I'm not stepping in.
I think there's a
prospects isn't my thing, really. Like, I don't pretend to be an expert on the prospect side of things.
There's a greater than 0 chance he plays games for them this year.
Maybe. I actually don't know what... Like, beyond their top 6, which is pretty obvious and set.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what 7, 8, 9... Like it's...
There has to be injuries in order for it to happen,
of course.
but,
I mean... But it'll be interesting if they do run into injuries. Who is next up? I mean, Liljegren's still there. They signed Dahlstrom.
Well, and they said that
Alex Biega, who's played a bunch of games for Vancouver and Detroit.
Biega's at camp. I forgot that.
Amadio up front.
But I'm just not sure like how they slot, and we'll get a better sense with camp and the preseason games. And all
yeah,
because
because I know Keefe said that Liljegren and Sandin are a lot further ahead this year than they were last. Like, and you would hope that would be the case, but that's a good sign.
Sandin did well in the hockey beep test.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, he was like leading his group every time.
No shock.
And what's interesting there is that there was sort of an underhanded comment last season at one point from Sheldon Keefe that sort of pointed to, Sandin maybe not fully getting the workout side yet. Like it wasn't like a gratuitous shot. This isn't like Kadri back in the day where they called him fat. But it was more like I think they were just saying that he's got to learn some pro habits a little bit more and what have you. And so I wonder if he internalized that because, you get into that intensive a conditioning drill and he's beaten all the NHLers. I mean, that's a good sign.
That's fascinating because like wasn't he the 30 minutes a night guy? Or was that like to send a message, hey, you're not working out enough?
Who's this?
Sandin. Remember that was a thing in like exhibition games or down in the minors? He was playing like half an hour.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, oh yeah.
For the Marlies?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I want to say in 1 or 2 exhibition games, he played over 25 minutes.
Because they wanted to push him.
But I think the context of the quote was last year, remember, he had that long stretch of scratches. When he wasn't injured, there was a period early in the season he wasn't playing at all.
Right.
And Keefe was asked sort of like how he can grow through that or whatever, like basically what WTF. And he was like, well, he's got lots of time now to learn pro habits. And, it felt a little like they were just trying to prod him a bit.
Okay.
Right. What happens with it seems like they have a dozen left wingers. You run down the list, it's Hosang, it's Gusev, it's Bunting, it's
right,
Kasha,
but it's like when you have
Richie.
like 3 quarterbacks in football, but you don't know who your number 1 quarterback is. Like there's a little bit of that going on.
Right. So at the end of training camp, do like 4 guys just get cut and scratched? Like, how is this going to play out?
I'm not entirely sure. Like they have too many forwards in general. Mm-hmm. So somebody with a one-way contract or a couple are going to go through waivers at minimum. So I don't know if that ends up being like a Pierre Engvall or what have you. There's also the possibility of a trade. I don't think that can be completely ruled out. But, I find it kind of interesting. Like on one hand, if you have Matthews and Marner together, whoever plays on their left wing, it should be fine almost no matter who it is. But I don't see an obvious guy that fits like long-term there.
Ilya Mikheyev?
Maybe. There's just not been enough finishing from him. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but maybe it's someone like Michael Bunting. Like, it's hard to know. He's played 26 NHL games or whatever and had a great season last year in his time with the Coyotes. But, there's just, to me, like Nick Ritchie got the first sort of tour of it in the line rushes today, but I don't know if that's the one. Could Robertson ever go there? Like, I don't think it's necessarily likely, but if he has a wicked camp. Anyway, you're right. It's very open, Jesse, and it's hard to say how that's all going to break. I think it's going to be tough though for Hosang or Gusev to earn a contract. I mean, maybe if Hosang's willing to go to the Marlies, sign a 2-way, that kind of thing, that might make some sense. As depth.
He did say today that he would sign in the ECHL.
He said he'd sharpen skates.
I like that.
Yeah.
He was very well spoken today. Actually.
Was he?
Yeah.
So the thing with him, people always use this blanket term, character. That's a character thing. What is it really with Josh Hosang? Why has this not happened? Because this is a first-round draft pick.
He said today that he's heard a lot of things over his life that he wasn't ready to hear. And that, last year he played in Sweden in Linköping, and he said that his head coach there changed his life. And he said that he started to tell him some of the things he's heard in the past, but he felt like the first time he kind of got it. And so, I don't know. Like, wow. I don't know Josh Ho-Sang personally. Mm-hmm. I've been part of interviews with him like today and other days and before. But, he certainly sounded like someone who's been through some things. I actually asked him just because of the tone of his voice. I said, Josh, did you ever have your love of hockey challenged through all this? And he said, yeah. And he said that, he dealt with depression and anxiety. And he didn't get into much more specific than that, but he was saying he had times where he didn't know how to handle those emotions, everything he was going through. And he's almost had to get back to loving the game in a certain way and maybe looking at it a certain way. And so, I mean, it's hard not to cheer for a guy like this, I think, just as a person, whether, it doesn't matter where he ends up playing. The beauty about a PTO, actually, he could play great in a couple preseason games, and any team in the league could sign him at any point in time.
Oh, so they could just take him.
That happened with
he's Christopher Stieg.
Christopher Stieg, that's right. He
whole camp with the Oilers and then signed with the Flames like the day of the season.
Hilarious.
Wow.
And he's an Alberta guy, right? He's from Lethbridge, I want to say.
I think you're right.
Anyway,
I was trying to look up who Ho-Sang's coach was over there in Sweden.
It's funny. I asked someone I know in Sweden. They didn't get back to me because of the time difference. So I don't have that answer because I don't know. Right. I don't know if this story has been out there before. Like that was the first I'd heard of it. But it was kind of a moment today. I mean, let's face it. The interviews are getting better because we are in person now, and the Zoom thing sucked straight up. I think for the players, for the media, everything, for the fans who want to learn anything interesting as a result. Now it's getting better because it is a little bit more human, but that was like the most human thing I've been a part of going back pre-pandemic days, just the way he spoke. And I got the sense he's genuinely grateful for just the chance to, as he said, show Sheldon Keefe he can still play hockey. So
is it Daniel Eriksson potentially head coaches or Johan Ackerman?
I mean, I got hockey DB too.
Do you think they're
I don't know. I don't know which. I don't want to give credit. I mean, because it's a pretty big thing to say if someone says.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know the whole story there, and I'm not sure if Josh will ever get deeper on why that was.
I hope he does.
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
I mean, I think we've gotten to a time where mental health and the whole thing, like everyone, a lot more people are sharing their stories, and so. I mean, good on him for even saying what he said today. And if he's willing to go one further, if he earns an NHL contract, I mean, maybe this is his story and he can be, a hope for someone out there who's struggling. And so, as I say, no matter what ends up with him, you just hope his life is in a better place now and that, he finds happiness.
Nick Richie and Andre Kasha are big, not wild cards for me, but those are the two people I'm most interested in this camp. Nick Richie was an assistant captain in Boston. And from what I've read, he's probably...
That sounds made up.
I thought it was. Yeah. Is he not? I thought I saw it. Hold on, Nick Richie.
They have a pretty established leadership group there.
I thought he was. I think maybe it was an exhibition. Picture I saw, he had an A on his jersey. Anyway, maybe it was. I don't know. Anyway, so Nick,
all I know is that this is my captain right
here. So with Nick, maybe he wasn't an assistant captain. I thought I saw it on his jersey. Who knows? I could have been sleep deprived.
Hey, Patrice, take that off.
What we do know,
Brad, get out of here.
Is that he's got something to prove. Or that's the sense I'm getting, is that he's got this is a big prove it season for him.
Well, he's on his third team in 2014 draft, was he?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like third pro team, 7 years after he was drafted, was the top 10 pick. He hasn't been awful. He's had a career. He's played a bunch of games, but he'd probably fair to say he hasn't played at the level that people thought he might when he was drafted. He's coming home-ish, another Ontario boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And, he's going to play on a team that wants to win a Stanley Cup. So, yeah, this is big for him. He signed a 2-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. So It's not all or nothing. If he's great in this training camp, it doesn't mean that everything's gone the wrong way. But, I think that the Leafs are banking on one of Bunting best case scenario for them is one or more of Bunting, Kasha, Richie being able to make an impact, right? I mean, they didn't have a ton of cap space. We all know that. They instead of betting on the old guys, and I know they brought back older guys, Wayne Simmons and Jason Spezza, but they're going with sort of mid-level bets now. Kasha's had some pretty bad concussion issues. He's not played a lot of hockey, so he's a little bit of an unknown what you'll get from him. Bunting's only played 26 NHL games, but looked pretty darn good in them. And he did play in the Sioux, so that means he's got to make a stop here while Kyle Dubas is in charge. And sorry, Kyle. Low-hanging fruit, couldn't resist.
Can you imagine him watching this and being like, is that a thing I do? Do I do that? Yes. Yes. I'm not complaining, but yes.
Yeah.
I'm actually not making this up, and I hope I'm not betraying any trust here. But so on the night of the expansion draft, Ron Francis was asked, and Ron Francis is also from Sault Ste. Marie.
Yes.
And he was asked about picking Jared McCann, and he pointed out that Jared McCann had Greyhound's roots, and so he couldn't resist.
No.
And I tweeted the quote, and then Kyle Dubas took the quote and texted or DM'd me, I'm not sure, and he said, I wish there was something stronger than that I could put on this button. On this tweet.
So he's in on the joke.
He's in on the joke, is my point.
Yeah.
And he can appreciate it.
Steve?
It's a funny joke.
Here's the thing.
Feels good to laugh.
I think towards the end of the year last year, for Leaf fans, because things went wrong, right? It was like, oh, God. Like another... And not that he's ever brought in anybody bad from the Sioux. Like, it's never been a bad thing. But after a while, you're like, there were other
the
teams.
Jack Campbell thing turned out.
Sure did. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I remember the night of that trade, and there wasn't a lot of people out there with the hot take. Like, this guy is going to be the Leafs number one.
No.
Set all-time records.
Yeah.
Right. So, you're right. He hasn't, like Jake Muzzin, that's been a great addition for them.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Even Sandin, like where they drafted him, like let's see what he becomes. But, he has that. So, yeah, he's not betting on the wrong guys. Like if I was a GM and I started taking everyone from Coburg, and there's not a long list of NHLers from Coburg, that would be
Williams
bad.
and Justin Williams. And
Justin, I know you haven't played in the league in 5 years, but we need you.
with regards to Peter Mrazek, which, again, there's a guy that I don't even think I've seen a quote from him.
He was on the podium yesterday.
Was he? What's your impression of him, and what is your impression of their expectation of him? Like, is he challenging for the number one? Is it Jack's number one?
Jack's got the number one, but he doesn't have a firm grasp on it.
Okay.
Right? Like, it would take something monumental for him not to get, I think, the first run of starts that are where the number one will go. But, performance will dictate it from there. I think what's interesting to me about the Mrazek contract and the decision to sign him, and look, they were losing Freddie Anderson. Free agency is like there's a real musical chairs aspect to signing goaltenders in free agency. Like if you don't make a decision and have some conviction, you might end up with something you really regret.
And they signed him fast.
They did, but they gave him 3 years. They gave him $3.8 million, and Jack Campbell is an unrestricted free agent in a year. And it's just hard not to look at that and go, okay, so as long as if Jack Campbell has a good to great year, like he's going to be more than $3.8 million. And, like you've established the floor now, I think, if Jack is your number one and he performs up to, something that's acceptable, well then, and can they bring him back at 4 or 4.5 or 5?
That's a lot.
And so, it's an interesting decision because it kind of, to me, sets the table where unless Jack Campbell struggles this year, which obviously they're not hoping for, I think it's going to be tough to retain him. But again, then they'll probably just spin the wheel again next year and get another goaltender there.
Is anyone in the organization tired of this? Like, as every conversation around every pending free agent is, well, it's going to be hard to keep him. It's going to be hard. Like,
They
I
hate
asked
it.
because I am tired of this.
They hate it. And look at it. I'm a media guy. And so, let's face it. It gets some reaction. So there's a reason why I talk about it, but it's also, we're talking about their number one defenseman and their number one goaltender. So it's not, we're not cherry picking the fourth liner who might be walking away next year. Like these are positions that will have to be filled and likely cheaper than what those players are worth. Like that's the trick, right? And so, yes, I know you're bored of the conversation.
Oh, I'm not. It's not that I'm bored of it. It's that this cannot sustain.
Like you lose your number one left winger in Zach Hyman, and I'm not saying they should have given him the contract Edmonton did. I think there's huge risk in that contract. But like now we're saying like who the heck are the left wingers? Like how is this going to work without him? Because like you get, I think, a little bit worse. And obviously they're paying those players not $5 million, which Zach Hyman's worth on the open market. When you're not paying, if Jack Campbell has a great year this year and you're not paying him $5 million, someone else is. Well, then you're getting another guy for $2 million and hoping a little bit. So. Look, this whole thing is built on the Leafs winning a cup with the guys that make the money. Like, it's that simple. Really, at the end of the day, that's the bet. and we'll see if they can do it. I don't think there's any reason to say they can't yet, despite what you've seen. I'm looking at Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews as the 4th and 5th or 3rd and 4th best scorers in the league last year. Like, not a lot of teams have that.
Nope.
And I know for 1 week or week and a half in May it didn't work, but doesn't mean it won't work next year when you get to April and May.
On the note of the left wing got worse. I think a lot
or just
of
got less certain. It might not be worse. It's just kind of like
I agree.
Andre
No,
Kasha's played 9 games in Boston, right? Like, we don't know.
Well, it's jump ball.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's jump ball for spots. And with it being jump balls for spots, I was shocked that Alex Galchenyuk was not brought back and that he wasn't able to cash in. Like, we all thought it was going to be one of those two things, probably him cashing in somewhere else. And he didn't even do that. He got a
what
PTO
happened
with
there?
the Coyotes.
I thought he'd be back, but on just a similar kind of,
1.1.
cost-effective deal.
Yeah.
And I believe if he was willing to do that, there might have been an opportunity to have it happen.
He didn't want to come back?
I don't know if it was that. He probably thought he was worth a bit more.
He scored at like half a point.
So
a game.
he may have, and you're not confirming, but he may have overplayed his hand.
It's possible. I mean, look,
He played well. He played well.
He had like one horrific mistake.
Right.
Basically his entire Leaf tenure.
Yeah, and it just happened to be the worst time of the year to have
Well,
it. But if he had come back on
pilot,
if he's back on $1 million, jeez, that's dark, Chris. Oh my God! If he comes back on $1 million deal, though, is anybody in this room upset about that?
No one.
So that's the weird part, and I was surprised that
two-way.
if he's gonna
It better be a two-way deal.
Sure.
If it's Galchenyuk.
But if it's
he lives in Arizona, though, right?
okay,
I
but he
didn't
had
know
a
that.
terrible time there.
Okay, but he lives off season in Arizona.
Okay.
He's looking at that team that traded away everything that wasn't nailed down and not named Phil Kessel in the offseason.
That's true.
Look at their draft picks, though. Like, they're set up if they draft well, and that's a huge if. And obviously, the tear down is easier than the build up.
Mm-hmm.
But they did a pretty nice tear down in terms of collecting assets. I think it's reasonable to think he can earn a contract there, that he can play lots of minutes there, and that he might get traded before the trade deadline for more assets and end up somewhere better. So this isn't necessarily the worst outcome for him. Like that's why I don't want to say he overplayed his hand, but I do think if maybe he was willing to commit to Leafs right away on a really cheap deal, they would have looked at it. I mean, that's what Wayne Simmons did, right? Like, Wayne Simmons signed, I remember it was during the Stanley Cup Finals, so it was in June. And free agency was July 28th. He gave up the opportunity to see what the rest of the league thought of him again to sign in Toronto on a pretty reasonable deal. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head.
900.
Oh, 900? I thought it was
902 years.
But it was cheaper than this previous one.
1.5.
So he was willing to sort of work with the team, and I think that his cost, in addition to liking the player and liking him, that they jumped at that. So, there was a chance to stay, I think, but I don't sense there's any bad blood there.
No. It was surprising not to see him back. You kind of just go, well, you were a natural fit and play. Steve was always, your thing was always, if you're in your happy place, stay in your happy place.
Yeah. And his happy place was on John Tavares and William Nylander's wing, and he put up a bunch of points. I think I was looking at it the other day. I think he had 12 points in 26 games, but that includes his brutal tenure in Ottawa. So he was well over half a point a game as a Leaf. That's just sign a 1-year deal and go cash in.
But maybe his happy place is playing at home.
Yeah. Could be.
On
Absolutely.
a PTO?
Well,
I
They'll
think he
probably
settled
sign
for
him.
that,
maybe, but sometimes people have PTOs, but they really have a contract.
Well,
There are instances of that.
of course, this is recent. It was odd to see. I think it was Josh Hosang signed a PTO on wasn't it the opening of free agency? Mm-hmm. I thought that was odd. So that's a guy clearly making a decision,
Right, but by making that decision, he was able to skate in Toronto for a lot of the summer at the Leafs complex with the guys.
Well, I'm complimenting it. It's great that he did that.
And then he can still go sign anywhere that wants him.
God, I hope it's here.
I hope it'd be great to have him work out. That'd be a great
And
story.
Sens.
They need.
And Ottawa.
They seem to need.
And he goes to Arizona and teams up with Galchenyuk, and they have a monster season together.
Oh my God, with Gusev.
They need.
The line that could have been.
Can you imagine?
They need a good story. I think they need a
Leafs?
Josh Hosang story. I think there's still. I mean, listen, the season didn't end all that long
They
ago
need
either.
4 wins out of 7.
Yeah, that too. But it would be nice
More
to,
than once.
Yeah. Yes. A gentle sort of ease into this season with a nice story like Josh Hosang making it would be really nice too. I think
That'd be cool.
it'd be cool. I hope he does it.
I'm a sucker for a good story. I mean, I love guys that are long shots. I loved when Andreas Janssen made the team as a 7th round pick back in the day. You know, I respect. You know, there's even a guy, Logan O'Connor. He just signed a 3-year extension in Colorado, and you know he was signed out of the University of Denver. Like I'm pretty sure he was like forgotten about in terms of being a pro player or not. I guess my point is he wasn't a can't miss NHL prospect, and the Avalanche saw him because it's in their backyard. Signed him, and he's come up, and he just signed a 3-year deal, and he's like 25, and he's played about 20 or 30 NHL games. And I just think that's a cool story. Like that guy kind of had to earn it the hard way. It's like Julian joining the CJ show.
Yes, earned it the hard way.
I respect that. Like people that were able to stick with it and find a way to, like, I can't even imagine being someone, and I don't know Logan personally, but being him and like signing a 3-year NHL deal after taking sort of the back door into, you know, the job. He's with one of the best teams in the league too. Like he's signing a 3-year deal. Like he might be signing a deal to win a cup or more. You know, pretty awesome. Anyway, I love those kind of stories. I'm a sucker for that.
So there's a couple big things today. Obviously, we saw.
I got some texts.
Oh, did you?
Ooh.
Uh-oh. Are they good texts?
Care to share with the class, Chris? I don't know where that accent came from.
Will, I think it's the berries and cream TikTok that you're addicted to.
Berries and cream.
It's a Greyhounds preseason game update.
From Kyle probably.
I'm just kidding. Stop the show right now. Read it out loud.
I want to ask about the reaction today around the league for Jack Eichel. So, and I know that, by the way, I believe you're releasing an episode of the first.
Like, do you want me to scoop myself?
No,
like,
I don't want you to scoop yourself.
What's the run of play here?
But can you tease a little bit about what's going to be on the CJ show tomorrow about that?
Tomorrow.
Also, we haven't said that the first episode will be tomorrow.
Oh, it won't be tomorrow? Okay, well, maybe it's not tomorrow.
It will be. We haven't said that, I don't think.
Okay, well, it's going to be tomorrow.
The show. It will be tomorrow.
Sorry,
right?
that's my bad. Yeah.
Do you know this?
I didn't know I worked Fridays. Like, what the hell is this?
Well,
HR, line 1.
Yeah, actually, it will be. We should say this. We're hoping for Mondays and Thursdays. Obviously, your schedule's all over the place, so there will be some flex days in there. But Mondays and Thursdays.
He's competing with us?
We'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He'll be Monday, Thursday.
What?
I know. Imagine people could listen to both.
No.
It's crazy.
It's crazy to think.
I can't wait until it's like November, and I'm like, guys, let's do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like, we got a good groove going here.
Listen.
We start like moving in on your real estate.
Hey, I'm fine with it.
You can have an entire show worth of content, all the shit that we miss after we
I'm
upload.
just gonna, I'm gonna
Oh.
spend the whole day blowing up Jesse's phone, like, hey, I need your help with this, man. Like, dividing him away from the SDP.
Yeah, exactly. So
You know I'll do it.
yeah.
Calling him at exactly 12:01.
I'm coming in, and I'm just gonna splinter this thing.
So he's a double agent. That's what's happened.
You're a plant.
So
Who sent you?
top line is that Jack Eichel was stripped of the captaincy today. Don't give us more than a couple sentences on this and dive into it tomorrow, because I know there'll be more in the story tomorrow. But your sense of it is there? I guess the question is there actually a deal close, or is this okay?
No.
Okay, there's no deal.
No.
Okay.
Like,
Oh boy.
no, 1,000 times no.
Okay.
I mean, how do you make a trade right now? Like, they haven't even figured out his health.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at the teams we think might want to trade for him or have sort of kicked around there or might be a good fit. Like, none of them have $10 million in cap space. You know, a lot of those teams that would be trading for him are trying to win a Stanley Cup like this season right now with the players on their roster.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to predict when a trade will happen because things can change quickly, but this is a really awful situation. You know, I have a lot of empathy for Jack actually here. And for those of us, like I never played in the NHL, obviously, but for those of us that never made a living the way players make a living, this is a good reminder that like they don't really own their bodies in when it comes essentially to their work, right? I mean, the way they earn an income and the way Jack Eichel earned that contract is by performing a sport, and as part of the CBA and the sport that he plays, you know, the team, as collectively bargained between the players and the owners, has the right to make these kind of calls on his health. And you know, I think that's a really difficult situation. I'm not a doctor. I don't know whether he should have the spinal fusion surgery or the disc surgery that he would like to have that's deemed a little more risky or less tested. You I can't make that call for him, but I can put myself in his shoes enough to think like, man, what an awful situation.
Like, at what point do the Sabres just cave and let him get what he wants? You're going to get shit all for him. You got a second-round pick for Taylor Hall. Like, you're not exactly good at this. Let him get the surgery.
Well, there's an element of mutually assured destruction here, like depending on how far both sides want to take this. Now, I do think, Jack has changed agents to Pat Brisson at CAA. This isn't a comment on his previous agent, but I do think it's introduced a different dynamic to the table. And, Pat is a veteran deal maker, great relationships, great reputation, not known as an agent who throws grenades into situations. I believe Roberto Luongo might have hired him in Vancouver prior to the deal to Florida, if I'm not mistaken. And so if someone is going to come in and not inflame a situation, it's CAA, I would say, and Pat specifically. And so, he's got a lot of powerful... He just knows how to handle these kind of situations. So I got to believe what's best for everyone here is for Jack to get as healthy as possible and for him to play hockey again somewhere other than Buffalo. And so they, as much as they are at odds over what the treatment plan should be, they're not at odds over how this has to end, like as peacefully as possible. And so I have to believe there's a way forward. But, a day like today, it just reminds you about how fucked up this is.
Is Kevin Adams in charge?
Oh, that is a good question.
I know.
Well, he's a general manager.
I know.
And he has a boss or two.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has to answer to a boss. And so if we look at the Boston Bruins, Don Sweeney's boss is Cam Neely. And Cam Neely has to answer to ownership. Mm-hmm. And in Toronto, Kyle Dubas answers to Brendan Shanahan, who answers to a board. And so I don't know how much we can say that anyone is in charge. He's making the hockey decisions, but obviously you're talking about a very expensive asset that this organization has in Jack Eichel, and someone is signing those checks, and obviously we'll have an opinion about how this should go. And so, yes, I think Kevin Adams is in charge of taking the phone calls and trying to formulate a way out of this situation, but he wouldn't be able to make this decision without the input of ownership. But I'm not sure that that's, even though I think I know what you're alluding to. You're alluding to the fact that he's young, that he's not terribly experienced in the position. He wasn't an assistant GM. He didn't,
He was brought on because he was friends with them.
No, sorry.
That's
Kevin
really
Adams'
what...
name was in the question, but this is not a Kevin Adams specific question.
Right. But I guess my point is that there would be heavy consultation on any team in the league when trading a $10 million player.
Okay.
Or handling a very significant decision to do with his health. Okay. there might be one.
Steve.
Hey, there might be one general manager in the whole league that doesn't have to answer to anyone on this kind of thing.
Lou Lamoriello.
We don't even need a second.
Yeah,
just call him Lou.
It's got to be Lou.
He doesn't need training camp rosters. He doesn't need to register contracts, no press releases.
That guy's just Bane. Ownership goes, Lou, you can't do that. Do you feel in charge?
The standoff between him and Bodie Wild is going to be fascinating. So
I don't think it'll be a standoff.
Yeah, no. Standoff.
Yeah, like Mayweather versus Logan Paul.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
What a standoff.
Kipper versus Dangle.
Yeah. Jesse, are we ready to bring on Julian
We'll
McKenzie?
have to pause the show.
Okay, let's pause the show. Let's get Julian ready to go. And welcoming on for I thought it was the first time, but then I remembered we had him on before, and I feel like an a-hole now. Julian McKenzie for the second time!
Yes!
So Julian will be the host of the Chris Johnson Show. To set Chris up, everybody... Somebody has to alley, somebody has to oop, and Julian, you are one of the hardest.
He's gonna carry me. Are you kidding?
Well, he's one of the hardest workers in the industry. So, Julian, for people who don't know, you're based out of Montreal, and this is great because Chris is going to be on the road all the time. You guys are going to be doing this show mobile, but it'll always be on the SDPN. So, if anybody doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about you. What do we need to know?
Okay, well, for those who don't know,
This is also going to be your dating profile afterwards.
Yeah, this is going on Hinge.
I don't even get me started on Hinge. I'm an editor at The Athletic for their NHL team. I'm the host of Zone Time for Yahoo Sports, and I sometimes make appearances on the Yahoo Sports Hockey Podcast. I host the Hockey Inside Out show for the Montreal Gazette, where we talk about the Montreal Canadiens all the time. Of course, being based in Montreal, I end up talking a lot about the Montreal Canadiens. And yeah, man, just some dude who likes sports and hockey and do a lot of podcasts and a lot of writing. And this year's been crazy, man. I started off just, doing all these random odd jobs, and then the Athletic came calling, and now this, man. Like, this year's just been crazy, man. So that's basically me. I don't want to give you the whole riot act because, like, we'd be here for like an hour.
Mm-hmm. You do a lot.
Make no mistake, this will be the oddest job of your odd jobs.
No way. I've had way odder jobs. I remember I was like an intern for like a street team when I was still at Bell Media, and we were doing this like music festival. I think it was like an electronic. It was Ilsenix, this EDM festival, and we had this tent where basically like any girl could like go in and they could get these like felt colored like, I don't know, like these markers in their hair. They get their hair painted. I had to be the dude for like 8 hours telling people, hey, you can get your hair colored. That's the oddest job I've ever done.
Wow.
This is nothing compared to standing outside in the damn heat telling girls that, like, teenagers being like, hey, you want to get your hair colored in this tent over here?
All right, first and last show with Julian McKenzie.
Yeah, really? Oh, man, that is wild.
Wow, I guess that didn't come up when you vetted him.
Yeah,
right?
no,
Like, that's odd.
We should have vetted you. No, I'm kidding. This is something that, like, we've all been kind of watching your career with interest. I know from a friend of the show, Andrew Berkshire, absolutely loves you. Couldn't say enough about you when we asked him about you, and of course, I hope he doesn't mind me dropping his name, but Arpan Basu also just absolutely had nothing but great things to say about you. And I think the exciting part for us in this, for the three of us and for Jesse and I, doing the network here, is that, we're excited that more people are going to get to know you, because the more we get to know you, the more we like Julian McKenzie. And I just think that this is going to be such a cool partnership, because it's probably two of the most likable human beings you've ever met. And the great thing is like, you guys, I know a few weeks ago, you guys got together for beers, not knowing if this was even going to happen.
No, very much didn't know at that time.
And now, and I mean, I don't know, you've been in the same room, 3 or 4 times ever?
One
time ever for the beer.
Well, we did Zooms and stuff, which in 2020/2021,
Yeah.
that's about the same room. So
but I just think
3 or 4.
I just think it's so cool where we are, because we couldn't. Honestly, if we had tried this in 2019, we'd have been like, well, Julian's in Montreal. How are we going to do this?
Right.
Yeah.
It would have been full stop.
Yeah.
We
Very short conversation.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have had him like buzzed in on TV?
No, not
this is like
pretty cool, right?
I feel like I'm in a real TV studio.
Yeah, well, that was Jesse.
I feel like that's an insult somehow.
No, Jesse woke up one day and was like, I want to make a studio now. And now he has.
Well, because I
That's
walked
amazing.
through Adam's house, went down some stairs, and then all of a sudden there's a TV studio.
Yeah.
Like, I thought you were blogging in the basement down here.
No,
I didn't think it was...
legit. It's legit.
Okay, now who's
And they
insulted?
have like brick.
What is...
So Julian, your part in this show, for anybody that doesn't know, obviously we've said, and we also, I haven't done this yet, and I need to. I want to thank our partners at The Athletic for doing the sales here, because, obviously we're a small shop, and they do an incredible job with that. So thank you to them for all of that. But Julian, you're working there. Your role on this show, if your mom or dad asked you what this show is about and what your role on it is, what are you going to tell them? Like, how would you describe it?
I host the show and I ask Chris questions that will hopefully get him to give all the answers that everyone's thinking about, with the big headlines to talk about the National Hockey League. Is that succinct enough? I hope that is. But that's
really
essentially
good.
it.
I like that.
Almost too succinct. You're
Yeah.
supposed to like ramble on, and then it goes into a story about working at HMV, which
Yeah, I don't like
Earlier.
doing that. I don't want to
No.
do that because, like, my mom is. If I'm telling that to my mom just could be like, "Whatever, you're doing some podcast thing. Congratulations, I love you, son." That's basically.
Oh, that's
it.
nice.
Oh, so you're like good at this. Like, I'm not. So like, it's good to hear someone who's actually able to do this.
I can relate to that too, because my mom also doesn't care what I do. So she's like, "Oh, that's nice. You have a podcast, honey." She's never heard one episode of what we've done. Not one. We've done close to 850 episodes. She's never heard one.
She's kind of busy.
Yes.
Give her a break.
Does your mom listen to your stuff, Julian?
I don't think there was like one. Not even. There was like one time when I was on Tim and Friends, and it was the day when I was on with Michael Grange and Donovan Bailey. And like, there was like another time I had to interview Donovan Bailey for a story. Wow. And I was telling my mom about it, and she was all like, "Oh my God, I love Donovan Bailey. You should tell him I say hi." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? I didn't actually do that, but it's a fun thing to hear." So I'm telling my mom like, "Hey, like I'm actually on Sportsnet with Donovan Bailey." And she's like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "What? Wow. Are you kidding me?" What?
Julian and I have been on Tim and Friends together, and then I see him on with Donovan Bailey, who I like idolized growing up, and I'm pretty sure I just texted you "F you." Like I couldn't believe it.
You were not that mean. You were not that mean. You did text me, but you were not that mean.
Okay, fair enough.
We're gonna have a different parent vibe because conversely, my dad will now listen to every second.
No kidding.
Oh, are you kidding?
So if you tell a story
Ian
about your
Johnston,
dad,
he's probably listening to Steve Dangle Podcast right now.
Actually?
Guaranteed.
My mom listens to every episode.
Really?
And, and I don't mean this to, my dad is a little north of 70.
But he knows how to download a podcast.
Well, he barely does, but he will figure it out over hell and high water.
That's amazing.
Just to hear what we're talking about.
I want to ask you two. So, Chris, do you have any siblings?
Yes, I got 3 siblings.
3 siblings. Julian, you have any siblings? You only child like
2
me?
younger sisters.
Okay. All right. Have they had any reaction to this, guys, or do they care?
My siblings don't care.
They
like absolutely could give a shit.
Okay.
Like basically like my whole family, like if I'm posting stuff on social media or I tell them about it, they're basically, they'll be incredibly supportive. And what they'll also do a lot is like a lot of their friends that they know, a lot of people that they know in the Black community in Montreal, they'll be like, "Yeah, Julian's doing all this stuff. He's doing all this great stuff. And it's all great." My dad, I should shout out my dad because he's very supportive of me as well. He works at Concordia, and sometimes like he'll talk to like other like professors and like deans at the school, and they'll be like, "Hey, yeah, how's your son? Yeah, he's doing good. Yeah, he did the weather, right? Like he's doing some good stuff, man. Yeah." So I think like my mom won't pay attention to everything. My dad will pay attention to more stuff, and I think he low key uses it as like leverage to like get in with certain people. So I think it's very varying differences.
He might be disappointed when he hears our podcast.
Yeah,
this might be the opposite of leverage.
I'll say this. I think one time I was like watching like Hockey Night in Canada, and I showed my dad like, "Hey, there's that Chris Johnston guy. I think I'm supposed to do a show with him." Oh, okay.
As far as
don't worry. One day if that actually happens where he'll meet you, man, I'm sure he'll come away impressed. Actually, what's funny too is not to hijack the show.
No,
or nothing,
go ahead.
But
that's what you're
the time
on for.
Chris and I met up, I was with another friend, I think near Ossington, and there was like this brief like 5-10 minutes where like my friend and Chris were just like talking, and like my friend was just like, "Yeah, man, your friend Chris is like super impressive." And I think he went over to like his girl's place and was like telling his girl's parents, who I think are like big Leafs fans. They're like, "Yeah, I was like hanging out with my friend, and he's like hanging out with Chris Johnston." And they were like, "Holy shit! Like, do you know Chris Johnston?" So yeah, man, Chris. I'll say this: like Chris and Steve and all y'all, I didn't realize how big of a deal you guys were until like this year. I seriously did not think you guys. Not to say I didn't think you guys weren't a big deal, but like I was very amazed.
Well, we're not.
It's amazing the spell we've cast over you in this year.
I'm glad we got you fooled.
I was amazed. People like after I was on the Steve Dangle podcast, I had people messaging me all day like, "Yo, bro, you're on the Steve Dangle podcast. Oh my God, you're on the Dangle podcast." So I didn't know all these people watch this podcast like this. This is insane. I thought people just watched and freaked out about the Leafs and that was it.
That's something that's happened a lot with this podcast.
Yeah, here, I'm just e-transferring Julian some money.
Hey, I appreciate you, my brother.
Chris, do you not tell that story all the time? Like you were on Hockey Night in Canada, but the thing you get stopped most for is being here with Steve.
I don't know if about most, but I definitely get a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. But like say most.
94% of the times I've ever been stopped in public.
I love that.
I will say I've never gotten used to it. Probably happens a few times a day still, and I never got used to it. Like sometimes I'm out for a run and I'll just hear like someone's going, "Oh, it's Chris Johnson," and like just like they're watching like a middle-aged guy like just really unathletically, sprinting down Lakeshore in Toronto.
Well,
sorry if that's anyone out there.
No, that's everyone out there, I think. At least you're not one of those guys on those $60,000 bikes cutting people off and that sort of thing. Excuse me, I'm Lance Armstrong. And I don't know if you've seen
thing?
that. Oh yeah,
So you got beef with the bike guys?
Oh, the bike guys are just the. They
He's
wear
got
their,
so much beef,
They got
eh?
their singlets. Like I have no problem with anybody who like rides their bike to work, but these guys who are with their singlets
What,
and
so
they've
they
got
shouldn't wear bike gear while biking?
sponsors on their bike, and your bike costs as much as a Porsche, and it's like, and they're everybody's.
Oh, God forbid people have hobbies.
Everybody's using the pathway. Everybody's using the
Look at this
pathway.
exercise
but
shaming.
we can't. We're not stopping for anyone. Everybody else is using the bike.
Oh, this
lately.
is so Toronto.
We're just not going to stop for anyone. I'm sorry. I'm on my bike and I'm training right now. And I have an issue with people who are like you're using a public road.
You probably want to run them over with your dad car.
Nah, that's true.
Oh
no, my dad car couldn't
God.
catch up with them. It's a pretty slow car. But I'm
Good
just saying
Lord.
it's the Toronto man with way too much money and a bike singlet scene is a little aggressive, especially in the West End. I'm
That's-
surprised Chris hasn't been hit.
This
take
went
your
so
word for
far
it.
off the rails.
I'll take your
I'm just saying, it's a rant. I'm upset.
So what about Julian?
Anyway,
So anyway,
anyway, you, Julian.
Julian, you own a bike.
yeah, do you like bikes?
I told myself I'd bike this summer, and that did not happen at all. So I do have a bike, but I have yet to pump its tires. Actually, so
Are you a Canadians
I'm-
fan, Julian? People are going to want to know that.
not any. Here's the thing. After 2016, I kind of stopped, and then I moved to America for a year, and then I came back, and then all of a sudden I started I was at Habs Eyes on the Prize for a bit, and I was writing about the Canadians, but I wasn't like a fan, and I figured that if I'm going to be writing about hockey and trying to get into sports media, or at least in Montreal, the way it kind of works, not to ramble too much, but people care about the Canadians, and then people don't really care about all the other sports here. So I knew if I was going to be in a position where I would ever cover this team, any fandom that I had or anything like that, I'd have to get rid of that. Sometimes I go out of my way, like how I'm speaking on a podcast or anything. If I accidentally say a we or something, I try to be like, we as the media. I try absolutely hard to not make it seem as if I'm a fan at all. And generally I'm not, but I'm very interested obviously in what the Canadians do living in Montreal. And I'll tell you what, covering them going to the Stanley Cup final, selfishly for me as someone who had gotten a new job and gets thrown into that situation, I enjoyed every single minute of it. And seeing everyone get happy and considering what people have been going through in the pandemic in Quebec for the last how many months, it was just something that the province needed. So I took a lot of pleasure in seeing a lot of my friends enjoy the Canadian Stanley Cup final run. So I'm not a fan, but I'm very much interested in what they do.
Did you take any pleasure in seeing the Canadians crush Steve Dangle's soul?
I see that smile. You're on Zoom.
Yes. And shamelessly, I'm sorry, Steve. I sometimes go back on all your old videos where you suffer. And I just watch, I'm just wow, this is enjoyable. But I love it because you're
Those
so
numbers don't
passionate about
lie.
what you do.
No.
And you're really entertaining.
Thanks.
I love it. Well, listen,
The Zamboni driver day, bro. That's one of the craziest days ever, man.
Wait, what was that?
I remember
What are you talking
I was
about?
covering a Canadians game that night, and I remember just looking at the score. I'm just I think that was also when the Canadians had gone through 2 8-game winless streaks that season, and then the pandemic obviously kind of wrecked everything. And I was just thinking to myself, it doesn't matter what the Canadians do, because at the end of the day, they did not lose to a Zamboni driver. Right. That if anything, I was that's pretty much the highlight of the Canadian season. I'm sorry, I'm not making this about Steve. I realize I'm really just trashing him, but I love you, man. I got a lot of love for you, man. I got a lot of respect for what you do, and
Not that
I
much.
admire you a lot, man.
yeah, I remember thinking at the time, I'm this is the worst my life will ever get. And 2 weeks later, the pandemic started. So it can always get worse.
That was, you know how we were talking about me anticipating reaction through the camera on a previous episode. I did feel a certain Steve comment that night, and then over 800,000 people watched me turn purple.
Wow,
it was great.
Is that what that did?
Oh yeah. I had neighbors who didn't know what I did, and they're like, who's this psychopath who lives across the street? He just quietly puts out his garbage and goes back inside. They had no idea that was me.
Wow.
They expect you to be that way on Tuesday morning when you're walking your son or on the street.
Hat guy, get the recycling.
You put plastics in the paper.
That's
Steve,
it's not me.
Can I ask Steve a question?
Please.
Yes, Julian, go ahead.
Are you a fan of Jim Carrey?
I do. I like Jim Carrey. He was a big. I remember seeing The Mask when I was a little boy and coming home and sliding on the kitchen floor and being very hyper. My dad claims to have once been at a party where he was present before he was famous, because they grew up in sort of the same area.
Your dad was popping like that. Okay. I was just curious because like
He just drank.
you just seem to like embody like physical comedy a lot. And I was just like Jim Carrey does that a lot. So I was just curious if like he was like an influence or anything.
I did something that he used to do, which is practice faces in the mirror.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I could see that.
I used to, in absence of a girlfriend, I would come home and stare in the bathroom mirror and do eyebrows and stuff.
Okay. All
Wait,
right.
wait,
We're learning stuff about everybody today.
Oh yeah.
In absence of a girlfriend. What is going on?
So
My buddies and I used to sit around juggling and seeing who could keep going the longest without dropping the balls. Like, because
Actual like circus clown juggling.
Yeah, well, not okay, but just 3 balls. I didn't have like 17 pins or like chainsaws or anything like that. But
just gonna say you have to put on a show for us.
like I used to be able to juggle for like 25 minutes without dropping a ball.
what? Can you still?
I could juggle. I would have to work my way back up
Okay,
to that
so-
kind of stamina.
You know, one day what we'd like to do with this network of ours, and as we add more shows and things, is we'd like to do like live shows where, you know, we
Chris juggles?
where we have everybody kind of show up and everybody does like a 10-minute podcast or whatever. We have some ideas or whatever. You have to juggle at that show.
Oh,
Yeah, you do.
You have to.
yeah. Like I'm looking for any reason to. That's why I told the story.
Okay,
Yeah.
Steve,
We'll
we're
call
bring-
our event Luck Talks.
Luck Talks.
You know,
Puck Locks.
just puck luck, just not the name of the thing that kind of does that thing already. You know,
No, we're doing our
We'll
own,
name it
damn it.
something different.
And you guys are so original. I did like literally 32 shows with Luck Locks and Evan Kennedy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we did a show with them. We did a show with them at.
We did
our
one.
big- our
will
biggest
be-
show was with them.
We
We'll
did a
be-
cross Canada tour.
We'll be the Fruit Hoops to Puck Talks' Fruit Loops.
There you go.
Yeah.
So anyway, listen, we'll wrap the show because it's been a long one. But listen, Julian, Chris, congratulations on the Chris Johnson Show. We're very, very, very excited to have you guys a part of this.
Thank you.
And I think so. The first episode is going to be recorded and will come out tomorrow, maybe a little bit later in the day. But we do know that it is happening tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. And by tomorrow, I mean Friday night. So
Good
today,
news,
today, I
Julian.
guess.
Good news. Adam says we get double pay when we work Fridays, so we're already. It's already going, bud.
Y'all
It's
are
already
spoiling
going.
me.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you guys for letting me be a part of this. It's an absolute honor to be a part of the network and to be a part of the show with Chris. And Chris, I'm really looking forward to doing all these episodes with you and getting to work with you. And I'm really happy for you, man. You're in a good spot at the Toronto Star and all the other things you got going on. And Big Money CJ, you're Big Money CJ for a reason, man. You've been doing big money moves.
I don't know where you came up with that.
Big Money CJ, bro. You Big Money CJ.
Like the truth is, I'm Big Mortgage CJ, but like
Big mortgage
there you go.
CJ. It's better than me. I'm not paying any
We should
mortgage. I'm paying rent.
okay, but I'm terribly in debt.
Listen,
God.
if you're not terribly in debt, you're not trying. I want to say to everybody.
This episode is
I
all
was a
over.
I don't think that's how.
Oh, I'm kidding. I'm joking. Listen, to Julian and Chris, good luck tomorrow on your maiden voyage. To everybody, it's youtube.com/SDPN. We will have all the links for you if you want to download it with audio. You should expect it Friday night so you can listen Friday night or Saturday morning or whatever. And then it's going to be Mondays and Thursdays with the Chris Johnson Show. There are more announcements coming next week. So we have a huge announcement.
They will be much smaller than this one.
Yeah, they will. Well, I mean, it's going to be tough to top this one. This is a major one, but we have another big one on Tuesday next week that we're all very excited about. Julian and Chris, we're going to force you to talk about it on your show too. And frankly, honestly, I'm so excited. These are some pretty amazing teammates. And after 8 years, this is our 8th season. This is where we're at. I don't think Steve or I, from that first episode, would have ever expected this. And I think it's a big day for us too, in the sense that we're really excited. We're working with our friends. It's cool.
It's dope. I like it.
Thanks,
Oh my
man.
God, I'm your friend. We're friends.
Absolutely, we're friends now. Anyway, so
Yes.
we'll wrap it up there.
Unless you ride a bike in a singlet, then you're dead.
Don't you
Yeah,
dare
for
even
sure.
talk to me.
No, I'm not doing that. Absolutely not. You're good.
So, Look out for the CJ show tomorrow. Look out for us on Tuesday. More announcements coming. Thank you so much. Hey, and congratulations to everybody in our Discord community who guessed it right. There was like 2 or 3 people that got it. Bang on. So we're excited for that. And anything to add, guys? Anybody?
Tomorrow's a work day, Julian. There's a curfew tonight.
Get a good
Behave.
sleep.
Bag skate in the morning for the healthy scratches. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
I hope I don't throw up. Peace.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
Connection complete.